Good morning, everybody. Today's topic, as y'all are coming in, I think on TikTok, they don't show y'all what the topic is. We're talking about the red pill here today. I'm getting all my platforms active. We are live on Rumble. We are live on YouTube. We are live on X. We are live on Facebook. I am checking LinkedIn. We are about to go live on LinkedIn. We are live on Instagram. As you can see, we're live on LinkedIn. That's working. And we're live on TikTok. Good morning, everybody. As y'all are coming in, hope everybody's having a great day. We got a lot to get to on this subject here of the red pill. And I'm going to turn my timer on. So we are on time here. 60 minutes of content. Then we're going to get into the conversation. Hope everybody's, again, having a great, what day is it? Middle of the week. We're on Wednesday when I'm recording this. Yes, this is live. Nikki, good morning to you. Sometimes when I get into the commentary, people ask if it's live because I'm not reading the comments at the time that they actually come in. I read the comments from the top. I start at the top and then I go through from the top when we get to the comment section. I will take questions and comments at the end after I go through my material. So the topic here today is the red pill. Let's get right into it because we got a lot of things that need to be said about this subject. So first of all, let's get clear what the red pill is. Some of you are familiar with this concept, the red pill movement, as they call it. According to my research, the red pill movement is a controversial ideology that originated from men's self-improvement communities and has expanded and brought discussions on dating, gender dynamics, and society. This is generally the way I've seen it. That's what I've seen as the red pill. I'm not a big follower of the red pill movement. I do listen to some people who may be, I guess you can put them in the red pill category. And from the outside looking in, that's pretty much what I would say. It's about men improving themselves in some way, shape, or form in their physical life, financial life, dating life, business life, etc. And again, some people I listen to, I don't think they're the main characters. The main characters, I probably don't even know who most of them are. But I've heard enough and seen enough about the subject and hear a lot of people talking about it to where I'm going to talk about it. And I want to talk about it from both sides. I'm going to talk about what I think are some positives of the red pill movement / community, whatever message, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to talk about some of the things that people may say are downsides of the red pill movement. I'll probably do that one tomorrow. So today we're going to do the positive sides, at least what I see as the positive sides of the red pill movement. What are some good things that come out of it and how is it actually helping men? Because some people may look at it and say, well, I hear people often, and interestingly enough, it'll be men who will, I see them leave a comment on something that I've posted where I'm not a red pill guy, but someone will say something like, well, I see these red pill guys and they say ABC, but then they're doing XYZ. They're doing something different. And they basically, a lot of men seem to be against the concept of the red pill movement. A lot of women may be against it as well, but we're going to get into all that here today. So let me introduce myself. First, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete, author of 40 books. Book number 41, I may be announcing later on today. We just finished up the sales funnel. Done 4 TEDx talks, created this company called Work on Your Game. We help professional entrepreneurs strategize, systematize, and scale their businesses up from the 6-figure level to the 7-figure level. You can learn more about that at workonyourgameuniversity.com. But let's get into this topic. As I said, I got a lot of points I need to make on this. So today we're talking about the positive points of the red pill movement. And again, this is based on the definition that I gave you, that this is all about men's self-improvement and men focusing on men, which on the surface doesn't seem like it could even be a negative thing. Why would that even be a negative thing? Well, let's talk about the positives. And again, tomorrow we'll probably get into the negatives pending any other news that breaks that causes me to talk about something different. So number one is that the red pill movement encourages self-improvement. And again, who would have a problem with men making themselves better? Who has a problem with women making themselves better? I think everybody's happy with the concept of people wanting to get better. Even if you're a woman, you have a man in your life and he wants to go to some type of community that is encouraging him to get better, you probably want him to do that. So I remember there's a woman I know, she has a coaching program where she coaches only women, but a lot of the women in her program we're saying, well, hey, we are developing ourselves thanks to your coaching, but my man or my husband, he is not developing like me because he doesn't have anyone coaching him. So is there any man you could recommend to my man so that he can go get coached the same way that we, the women, are getting coached? And she was talking to me about that, how we could possibly, work together and do something like that. The point being, women generally don't have a problem with men wanting to improve themselves and get better. So the focus is on things like fitness, finances, personal growth for the man, looking in the mirror rather than seeking validation from relationships. This is where people start to have an issue with the red pill, is that the red pill movement is about men focusing on themselves and getting themselves better rather than making it about, and they're getting themselves better for them, rather than getting themselves better for the approval or to win the attention of a woman. The red pill movement is all about men making themselves better just for the man. Now, here's what I would say about this is that I often hear women talk about this. This has always been a thing women have talked about. We have a space for just women so women can work on themselves and improve themselves and make themselves better just for me. I'm doing it for me. It's all about me. It's not about a man. I'm not trying to impress a man. I'm not trying to win over a man. I just want to make myself the best version of myself. I've heard women talk like this for decades. That's not a new thing. So when men come around with the red pill movement and say that they want to do the exact same thing, I don't understand why this would even be a problem. But again, a lot of people have a problem with this approach. We're only on the first point here, but let me continue. That this is, from what I understand, and any of you who's in a red pill space, you can tell me if I got this wrong or right. Red pill men, the people who are the teachers, the instructors, they want to help men improve confidence, communication skills, and their ability to earn money, amongst other things. But these are some of the high level points: confidence, communication skills, the ability to earn money. I'll tell you, just as a man myself, any man that I know probably wants to be good at all three of those things. You want to be confident, you want to be able to communicate, and you want to make money, because that's kind of the role that man has in society. You have to be confident because you're expected to lead. The man was designed to lead by God. And communication skills, can you get your point across? Because if you can't communicate, then you can't lead. And of course, making money, because you are designed to be the provider. Doesn't mean you have to be the sole provider, or even maybe some relationships the woman makes more money, but you are supposed to be providing something and contributing something to the bigger picture of what's happening. So again, I don't see a problem with this. Next point. And we're talking here today about the red pill. Hey, son, you want to come and join me or no? Okay, I'll see you later. On the surface, there is nothing wrong with any of the things that I just said. Again, even if we go beneath the surface, there's nothing wrong with the things that go beneath the surface. Telling people to get better, work on their game, so to speak, be a higher contributing level member of society, add more value in any room that you walk into. All of that makes society better. If everyone's trying to do that, excuse me, then society as a whole will get better. So the fact that the red pill movement is focused on helping men is the real issue that a lot of people seem to have with it, both male and female. The issue is not that the red pill movement is about helping men get better. I don't think any woman has a problem with men getting better, or even men who are not in the red pill movement. I don't think they have a problem with men getting better. But I think the problem that a lot of people have is that the red pill movement is about men focusing on men and paying zero attention whatsoever to women. That's what I think the real issue is that people have with the red pill movement, that its stated mission is men helping men, and women are not even part of the conversation, at least not in a positive way. We're going to get to that in a moment. Now, again, who has a problem with this? On the surface, nobody, I don't think. Personally, I don't have a problem with men encouraging others to get better, other men to get better, hold each other accountable, and actually doing it is needed in society, because I believe, and I talked about this already, I did a live stream on this exact topic probably maybe a month or two ago, that Western society is starting to collapse. And the reason Western society is collapsing, number one reason, is the downfall of the man. Any society is as strong or as flourishing and as improving as the men in that society are. The men in a society are not doing their jobs, the society will fall apart. There's never been a flourishing, successful society that was run by women. Every single successful society you can ever name, every civilization you can name that was worth anything and left any mark on history, was run by men. And when the men stop doing their jobs and the men start falling off, the society falls off. That is generally how it works. It always works like that. Therefore, excuse me, in our society right now, Western society, one of the reasons why Western society is beginning to falter is because men are no longer doing their jobs. And the red pill movement came along as a response to the fact that a lot of men were not doing their jobs. There was a need in the marketplace. And we know the first law of economics is supply and demand. Because there was a demand for men to step their games up, a bunch of people came in and supplied, hey, Here's the way you actually be a man. Here's the way you conduct yourself. Here's the way you talk. Here's the way you can make some more money. Here's how you can stop being a pussy. Here's how you can start putting yourself out in a way that will make you valuable to other men, make you valuable to the marketplace, make you valuable maybe to women, and we'll get to women in a moment. But there's nothing wrong with this. This is a response by the marketplace to a demand, which was we need men to step their games up. And again, there are women out there who want men to step their games up, and there are men out there who are looking at other men, and such as I said just now, who want other men to step their games up. And because the reason why we want this to happen, because it helps all of society be better when everybody is stepping their games up, specifically the men. Because society is run by men. When the men fall, the society falls. When the men rise, the society rises. That is how it works, has always worked, and always will work. The critique of, next point is the critique of modern dating and the pushback against feminism. Here's where people start to really have a problem with the red pill movement is right here. Is that the red pill movement pushes back against modern feminism. And I'm not a fan of modern feminism. And let's just categorize modern feminism as people who come to believe, these are women who say this and also men, that a woman can do everything a man can do and a woman can completely replace a man. And women, there's a time that we replace the patriarchy, i.e. men being in charge, and we replace it with the matriarchy, i.e. women being in charge. So let's just say that's what feminism on a high level is about, generally. The red pill movement came out as a response, partly came out as a response to feminism. That women say they can do everything a man can do, not true. That women need to be in charge, also bad idea. And that we need to replace the patriarchy with the matriarchy, also a very, very bad idea, which, again, historically has never worked. Do the current people who support modern feminism think that they're the first ones to come up with this idea, that women should be in charge and we should replace the patriarchy with the matriarchy? Do people living today in 2025 think that you are the first group of women to ever come up with this idea? No, you're not. And the reason it has never worked historically is because a woman was not designed to lead. Now, read the Bible, read the first chapter. The first book, the book of Genesis. God explains this. He put the man in charge. That's it. That's the way we were designed, is that the man is in charge and a woman's job is to be a support system for the man. Doesn't make the woman lesser of a person. Not everybody can be the guy. All right, on the Chicago Bulls, you had one Michael Jordan and everybody else had to play their role. Everybody does not have to be the star of the show. And in any organization, there must be one boss. And it needs to be clear who the boss is. So what's happening with modern feminism is that you have a lot of women who are conditioned by feminism to believe that they can and should be the boss in a relationship. So they go to a relationship they already have and they try to be the boss. They try to take the boss. They try to wrestle the steering wheel out of the hands of the man. And if the man pushes back against this, then it becomes a conflict between the man and the woman, between this modern feminism idea and the way the man has always seen it in his natural role. Or if the man allows her to take the steering wheel, now it may cause the woman to have less respect for the man. Because again, what woman is going to have a ton of respect for a man who voluntarily sits in the passenger seat while she sits in the driver's seat in their relationship and in life in general? I think just by nature, by our wiring, that most women are not going to respect that type of man. May there be some exceptions, of course, but generally, are most women going to respect that man? Probably not. Are other men going to respect that man? Probably not, because he's in the passenger seat in his own relationship. And again, you're designed to lead. What are you doing? This is an unnatural position for the man to be in. So when these women are going out and being taught this, and let's say a woman is single, let's say a woman has no person in her life, no man in her life, but she wants a man in her life, and she goes out and she accepts these ideas of modern feminism that this is the way it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be in charge. I could be the person. It should be a matriarchy, not a patriarchy. I'm going to have the steering wheel. Let me ask you a question. How many men are going to be attracted to that woman? How many men of value are going to be attracted to that woman? Some of you may be familiar with a guy named Kevin Samuels. He passed away about 3 years ago. And I don't know if he was a red pill guy, but I guess some of his material was red pill-ish. And one of the things he would always do on his shows, at least when I came across him, by this point he was talking to women about relationships. He would have women on his show. They would come on like a Zoom on his YouTube, and he would ask them questions. And he would say, when you get into a relationship, what's the situation you want? Do you want to have to pay the bills? Most of the women would say, no, I don't want to have to pay any of the bills. I want to have X number of kids. And Kevin Samuels would say, well, mathematically, based on where you live, number of kids you want to have, you need a man who makes X number of dollars. Now, that type of man, he gets to choose the type of woman that he wants. He wants a woman who is fit, feminine, and friendly. He wants a woman who is generally a little bit younger, a woman who does not have any kids, and a woman who is going to follow his lead. Now, you can't go and be a dictator in that type of relationship. Are you okay with that? And again, he would have longer conversation with them, but generally you would find it would actually be funny. I used to listen to Kevin Samuels' conversations because it was very funny the way that a lot of the women, when Kevin Samuels started putting the reality of this is what you're looking for and this is what it's going to take to get it to their faces, a lot of the women were kind of like taken aback by the fact that he was telling them this is exactly what it is. Because a man in that position does not need to bow to your desires because he doesn't need you. He has many more options than you have, given your situation versus the situation of the man that you're describing. He was 100% correct. And a lot of women had a lot of issues with Kevin Samuels, not because he was saying anything that was factually, not even factually, but let's just say inaccurate. The things he was saying were not inaccurate. They were very accurate. There's the fact that he was telling them the actual realities right to their faces, that a lot of them were taken aback by this. And a lot of people were, both females and feminine energy men, were very much against Kevin Samuels. And a lot of them said a lot of negative things about him after he passed away. But what he was putting out there was absolutely true. Everything he was saying was absolutely true. So this critique of modern dating and the pushback against feminism is a big part of what the red pill movement is. And it's one of the main reasons a lot of people don't like the red pill movement, because it talks about hypergamy. Those of you who know what hypergamy is the idea that women generally seek men of higher status. And again, does anybody question this? Hypergamy is a thing. Women generally seek out men who have higher status. And Kevin Samuels and his show, again, it wasn't all women in the world getting on his show, but he talked to enough women that it provided us a pretty good idea of the type of man that many women were looking for. And many of these women would say something like, I want to have X number of kids. I want to live in this type of place. I don't want to be responsible for the bills, meaning the man is going to provide all the money. I may make some money, but it's not going to be necessary to pay the bills. So the man's going to provide all the money to pay the bills. And that's what they want. This is the kind of man that they want. And Kevin Samuels said, well, all of you can understand this. He would say to the camera, all of you can understand this. This is the type of man that most women are looking for. And Kevin Samuels' thing was, I work with a lot of men in this space, so I know what kind of women they are looking for. So he will serve as a proxy for those men. And he would say, okay, if you want this type of man, here's what you need to be, because I talk to and work with these men and I know exactly what they want. Here's where you're falling short. Here's where you are okay. Here's where you got the wrong idea. He would basically explain it out to them. And the red pill movement is part of that. Kevin Samuels is pretty articulate at explaining his. I don't know about the men who are running the red pill movement now, because as I said, Mr. Samuels passed away. But the general idea is that the more attractive a woman is, the more status a man needs to have in order to be eligible as a partner for that woman. And again, this is still true. It's always been true. It's become more true these days. And one of the reasons why the red pill movement pushes back against the modern dating situation, because the modern dating situation is completely screwed up right now. Why is the modern dating situation screwed up? Well, one reason is look on your phone and look at the dating apps you either have or have access to on your phone. When you have things like swipe left and swipe right dating, that is all often just based on surface level looks. Another thing is with females, it is much easier for a female to get a whole lot of attention through the internet and through social media than it is for a man to get a whole lot of attention, because a man has to actually somehow, some way provide some type of value. Now, yes, there are situations where a man could just take his shirt off and show off his body and get a certain amount of attention, but nowhere near the type of attention that an equally attractive woman would get for taking her clothes off and showing off her body. We understand this. Most of the people making money on OnlyFans are females, not men, even though, of course, you have a community of men who are able to make money off it. The point being that it's very easy for a woman to get a whole lot of attention for cheap, let's just say, by showing off her body. And what does this do to the dating market? Well, it taints the dating market, because that same woman 20, 30 years ago, yes, she's very attractive. She would have a lot of male suitors, but her suitors were men who she met in person, and they would have conversations and deal with each other. That same woman now can get on the internet, show off her body, and she has a million men in her DMs or on her, basically they're paying for access to her through her OnlyFans or something like that, or flying her out for the weekend to whatever places. And now the man who may have 30 years ago been able to approach this woman and talk to her, now he doesn't have that option, because that woman is getting so much attention from so many different men based on their resources that she doesn't have to pay attention to the other guy who otherwise might have walked up to her in a Starbucks. So it's screwed up the dating market, and it has weighed things heavily in the favor of the woman and very much going against the favor of the man. So men have much fewer options to meet women relative to how it was back in the days before social media made it tilted the scales so far in the favor of a woman. So this is how I understand that the red pill movement is pushing back against the way modern dating goes, because the way women can date these days, and of course I'm not saying all women do this, is that a woman who has 100 guys in her DMs every day because she's showing herself off on Instagram, what is the man getting? How many DMs is he getting every day from girls? Probably zero. No DMs, but he's interested in the girl. How is he ever going to get that girl's attention? Again, when there was no Instagram, he could get that girl's attention. Now she got all this attention going in all these other ways. Now, this does not necessarily mean that the woman has everything perfect, because eventually it gets to the point for a woman. Kevin Samuels talked about this all the time, and you call it the wall. The woman gets to the point where maybe she gets into her late 20s, early 30s, where she's no longer the hot girl, because now there's a bunch of 22-year-old girls replacing her as the one who get all the attention on Instagram. Now she decides, now I do want to get with a guy. Now I want to go talk to the guy who otherwise I would have ignored back when my DMs were full. Now I want to go talk to that guy. Now that guy is being trained, or let's say told by the red pill movement, no, you don't have to settle for her because she didn't want to pay attention to you back then when you were building. Go find a younger one who is hot now and go get with them, because they're the one who is more pure, less used, and actually gave you the time of day. Actually would give you the time of day now, whereas this other girl never gave you the time of day. So it's tilting the dating market and screwing it up in many different ways. And there are whole conversations about this that I don't want to get into too far here today. But this whole concept of hypergamy has always been a thing. It is still a thing to this very day. And a lot of men, again, the red pill men, are coming in and telling men everything I just explained to you in even more detail than what I'm explaining. Is that these women who have been around the block a few times, they've been on OnlyFans showing themselves off, they're getting all the DMs from the men who are offering them things because they have resources, and they are ignoring you. Do not accept that call when she finally decides to come around because she hit the wall and she's no longer the hot girl. Go find someone who is a little bit more pure and a little bit less used and has been around fewer blocks, maybe not around any blocks, and go make that woman your wife. And now that 30-something-year-old woman who's hit the wall, now who's she going to go to? Now she ends up on Kevin Samuels' show talking about the type of man she wants. And Kevin Samuels is looking at her like, how are you going to get that? Because the type of men that I'm working with, they don't want someone like you because of your background, because of your history, because of your age, because of your use. All right, you're a used car. All right, this ain't going to work. And again, this is why a lot of people didn't like Kevin Samuels, because he was giving it to them straight. And he was talking directly to them. He wasn't just talking in general. He was talking directly to the woman on the call that she volunteered to get on. And a lot of people got mad at Kevin Samuels for some of the things he would say to the women. But my pushback in defense of Mr. Samuels, as it always was they signed up to get on the call with him and volunteered to have a conversation. How you mad at him for telling them what they asked for? They asked for him to tell them the truth. He told them the truth. Now you mad because somebody told you the truth? What's your problem? Anyway, everything I've said up to this point, are these things true when it comes to modern dating? Of course they're true. All right, this has always been the case. Again, it's just become more obvious these days, because now everybody can put everything they're doing and everything they have and everything they want on the internet, and we can all see it. But this is not a new thing. So this entire challenge is that the new idea of romance, which is people choosing each other just based on character, which used to be known as the blue pill. The blue pill was two people just randomly meet because you went to the same college, you're from the same town. My parents know your parents. You would meet, and then it'd be some romance and live happily ever after. This does still happen. Or it does still happen, but because so many people are now on the internet, now that blue pill romance is not so much a thing as it used to be. There's less of it because people have access to other people worldwide that you otherwise wouldn't have access to. Most of you who are listening to me right now, had the internet not existed, most of you would never know who I was and never hear my voice in person, because I'm in Miami and you're in Oklahoma, or you're in Texas, or you're in California. And if I never go there or you never come here, how will we ever meet? We never end up in the same place. So it used to be people were chosen based on the content of their character. Looks mattered to get attention, but content of the character you got a chance to figure out because you had a chance to build the relationship. But now things have become much more fast, which makes everything more surface level. Everything in the world is more surface level these days because of the fact that we can get access to things so fast. Information, the journalism no longer exists. Dating is all screwed up. All because everything's on the surface. People don't read anymore. We rather watch a TikTok video. Why? Because everything is so easily and quickly accessible, which is a good thing. But at the same time, there are trade-offs to that. There are no perfect scenarios in life. And again, more and more women, because of their ability to show their beauty through the internet, now have access to more men more higher status men, at least when it comes to resources, that they otherwise may have never met. Again, if you're in Nebraska, now women have a lot more options, and that makes it harder for the man to reach a woman, because any woman with any level of attractiveness, according to the man who is looking, that woman is getting attention from 1,000 dudes, whereas she normally, based on where she's located, would only get attention from 10 guys. You only had to beat out 10 guys for her attention. Now you got to beat out 1,000. And you got to get on the internet to do it. So is this screwing up dating for men? Absolutely. Again, it's hurting men more than it's hurting women on the surface at first. In the long run, it might hurt women more, but at first, it's hurting men more. And these men who are finding themselves sexless, unable to find a woman that they want, unable to get return attention from a woman who they are attracted to, they are like, all right, what the hell am I supposed to do? Again, when there is a demand in the marketplace, someone will supply. This is why the red pill community came to exist. So what's happening is that men in the red pill community are teaching men to set boundaries in their relationships and not tolerate toxic behavior from other people, including other men, but most importantly and most notably from other women. So a woman who is talking to you as if she could take you or leave you, the men are being told by the red pill community, well, leave her, or let her go, stop returning her calls. So the same thing that a woman would do to a man, the red pill community is teaching men to do with the women. And if they show themselves to be toxic, let them go. It promotes the concept of men controlling the frame, which again is not a new idea. The frame is not a new idea. I talked about this on my show many times years ago, talking about the frame. Thank you for that gift over there. Thank you for the gifts over there on TikTok. Haven't seen that one before. But it's about controlling the frame, which means maintaining control over your life and emotions rather than being reactive, especially when women may be trying to manipulate you in some way, at least according to the man or the people who are teaching these red pill men. Now, again, I believe this is a great thing for any man to have, this concept of controlling yourself and controlling the frame. And again, it's not something that is brand new. Men learning to manage their emotions, not be reactive in situations, and not allowing anyone to bait you into reactivity, especially when you're dealing with women, which is something that tends to make one thing's going to make a man emotional is going to be anything involving money, and higher than that, anything involving the female. So all of this is very important, as I've already explained, and I'm going to take questions and comments at the end, by the way. This is all very important because the advancement or falling of a society, as I've already explained, is based on what the men are doing. It's not based on the women. It's based on the men. Because in the red pill movement, stood up and did what it did and became what it has become because, as I just explained the second time, supply and demand. There was a demand for men to be stood up and helped and supported in some way, and the red pill community came out and they offered that support and help and helping men be the best version of themselves, at least according to what the red pill movement is teaching. Now, some of you may believe, if you are familiar with this world, you may believe that the red pill movement is teaching men in the wrong way, or is teaching them in a unproductive way, or in a way that is not going to help the men be better versions of themselves. Maybe you are right. Now, actually, it's not about you being right. It's just your opinion. It's your perspective, and you're entitled to that opinion. The point is, though, that when there is a demand, someone will supply. It doesn't necessarily mean that what is supplied is the ideal thing. It just means someone's going to supply something. The same way that if you are really hungry and you walk past a CVS or a Walgreens, you may go into CVS and Walgreens and buy yourself a Snickers bar and a bag of potato chips. Now, is a Snickers bar and a bag of potato chips the best possible thing you can eat when you're hungry? All of us can agree the answer is no. At the same time, we all can agree that a lot of Snickers bars and a lot of bags of potato chips get sold every day in the world. Why? Because sometimes the supply, regardless of what it is better than not having that demand supply. When there's a demand, you will take whatever supply is given to you. So even though I could probably use some meat and potatoes when I'm hungry, if a Snickers bar is available, I might grab the Snickers bar. So the red pill community, some of you may think it's the version of the Snickers bar when someone needs a meal. That doesn't mean that they're wrong. Again, they are supplying the demand. So it doesn't have to be the right way. It doesn't have to be your way. It just has to be a supply, period. And you can look around in life and you'll see a whole bunch of examples of this. So even though, as I started just started to touch on, you may not like everything that the red pill movement is doing or what you may believe it to be about. One thing we can agree on is that it is focused on men improving, even though you may not like the way they are helping men improve. It is focused on it. And again, their version of what makes men better is what they are showing. Now, one thing I will say is a word of caution to the females in the room. If you don't like the way that other men are teaching men how to be, I say this respectfully, you are unqualified to say that this is the wrong way for a man to teach another man how to be. If you are a female, you are unqualified for that position. I'm not saying you can't have the opinion. I'm telling you you're unqualified to have that opinion. Why? Because you are not a man. You do not have testicles. You are unqualified to tell a person who does how to teach another person who does how to be, even if you strongly disagree with their approach, even if you can objectively and logically break down why that they are wrong. You're not a man. This is the reason why a household is man, woman, child. It's man, woman, child for a reason. You need women to demonstrate and demonstrate and model to a young female how to be a female, and you need a man to demonstrate and model to a young male how to be a male. Now, the female does need the male parent, and the male does need the female parent, yes, for many different reasons. But if a man needs self-improvement, he cannot go to a woman to get it. That just doesn't work. If a woman needs self-improvement, she can't go to a man to get it. Now, that doesn't mean that a woman cannot teach a man something, and that a man cannot teach a woman something. But when it comes to self-improvement as a man or as a woman, a man needs to go to a man and a woman needs to go to a woman. Again, no one's ever had a problem with female-only spaces of women helping women out. Why is it a problem that men are helping men out in a male-only space known as the red pill community? There shouldn't be an issue with this. Of course there is, because men and women are indeed not the same, and a woman cannot do everything a man can do, the same way a man can't do everything a woman can do. But there is nothing wrong on the surface with there being a male-only space where men are helping men. And if you are a woman and you disagree with the way that men are being helped, I understand you. You are not necessarily wrong. You are unqualified because you are not a man. And if you think there's a better way, then whoever those men are that you have a problem with the way they're being helped, what man do you recommend? That would be the open question. And I want to see answers to that question after I get through my points. But the red pill movement is about helping men getting better. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that general concept. One issue I've had with the feminism movement is that it is all about somehow, some way, pushing women to believe that they can run society and that men should be in the passenger seat while they're in the driver's seat. That is complete bullshit. It goes against the way that society was built. It goes against the way that humanity was built. So I'm completely against that concept that feminism pushes. Feminism pushes a lot of things. That's the main thing that I'm strongly against. And the red pill movement is all about teaching men that I don't give a damn what feminism says. You must be in the driver's seat. Not even deserve. You are designed to be in the driver's seat. Now, if you are unqualified to drive because you don't have a license, what we're going to do here in the red pill community is give you that license so you know how to drive the damn car. Because when there's you and a woman in the vehicle, she needs to be in the passenger seat. That is her natural role, and you need to be in the driver's seat. That is your natural role. Now, the fact that you can't drive does not mean that you go sit in the passenger seat. It means you need to go learn how to drive. Come here to this community, and we're going to teach you how to drive. That's the way it is designed, and that's exactly how it should be. And if we're going to have a strong society, we need disciplined, accountable, and responsible males, period. If we're going to have a strong society, we must have this. Men must be disciplined, accountable, and fully responsible. And as a matter of fact, most of the women in the world, at least those of you who are heterosexual, you probably want your man to be all three of these things. Any of women listening to this, if you have a man in your life, a husband, boyfriend, etc., a love interest, one of the main things that will make you interested in him from the beginning is the fact that he is disciplined, accountable, and responsible. Because the more he is of these things, the more you can settle into your feminine role and in your position in that relationship with that man. And any man who is not disciplined, he is not accountable, and he is not responsible. What it forces a woman into is a more masculine role of fulfilling these needs that must be every society, every community, every relationship, every household needs at least one person who is all three of these things: disciplined, accountable, responsible. Or you need all three of these in some way, shape, or form. What's going on, Cynthia? Good morning. Now, it's funny, Cynthia, you're leaving a comment on YouTube, but I'm looking at the Rumble studio stat, and it doesn't even show that anybody's watching on YouTube, but obviously people are. So these stats here are crazy. But anyway, if a woman is with a man and she notices that he is undisciplined, not accountable, and not responsible, someone has to be those things in that house, because somehow the bills got to be paid, the clothes got to be washed, the gas got to be in the car, and the kids got to be fed. So that forces a woman into a masculine role. These three things are masculine traits. Discipline is a masculine trait. Accountability is a masculine trait, and responsibility is a masculine trait. And again, it doesn't mean a woman is wrong if she decides to do these things, because there are feminine traits that men need to have, such as nurturing and taking care of things and being conscientious about other people's feelings and having empathy. These are all feminine traits doesn't mean a man should never have them. And the same way that a woman can sometimes have masculine traits, but a woman's natural role is to be in her feminine, which means she should not have as a priority discipline, accountability, and responsibility. That's a man's natural role. And this is the reason why when we get things like single parent households, you force a woman who often is the single parent with the kid, at least the responsibility for the kid, you force her into these masculine roles of being disciplined, accountable, and responsible. That's not a woman's natural role. That's the man's natural role. Again, this is why household is man, woman, child, so that the man can be those things and the woman can be the woman things, and everyone is fitting into their natural roles. This is when people thrive, when they're in their natural role. Now, it does not mean any of you who's listening to this cannot at times dip into a role that is not natural to you and still be successful, thriving, happy, et cetera, et cetera. But your natural role is your natural role. It's kind of like in sports, for example. You have a player whose natural role is to play point guard, but because of the team you put them at the shooting guard position. Doesn't mean they can't still have a good game, but their natural position is playing point guard. So eventually, you either got to move out whoever is the point guard and let them play point guard, or they got to find a different team where they can play their natural position. When people are in their natural roles, they tend to perform at their best. And the natural role of a man is to be in charge, discipline, accountability, responsibility. That is not a woman's role. The red pill movement, one of the main things that it teaches, I've heard enough of it to know, is about teaching men to be disciplined, accountable, and responsible, even at a level that some people may consider quote unquote toxic. I'd rather you go too far than not go far enough when it comes to a man. If I'm talking to a man who's in this room right now, when it comes to these three things, being disciplined, being accountable, and being responsible, I'd rather you go too far and go overboard with these three things than to not go far enough. And I would bet if you ask a woman, you ask the woman who you're in a relationship with, if there is one, ask the last woman you were in a relationship with, or the next woman you're going to be in a relationship with, would she rather you go too far or not far enough when it comes to these three things? Most women, if given truth serum, would tell you absolutely go too far. Now, most women probably not going to say it as plainly as I'm saying it, because again, a woman is a woman, is a man, and a man is a man. This is the reason why you need to hear it from a man, not from a woman, because a woman will tend to kind of softly give you the point, whereas a man's going to give you the point right to your face. A man will smack you in the face with the point, whereas a woman's going to kind of hand it to you gently. And a man needs to learn these kind of things from a man. That's the reason why the red pill community exists. Do y'all understand this? And a lot of the men who end up attracted to what is going on in the red pill community are often men who come from fatherless homes. They didn't have a man around. So they didn't have a male figure telling them, hey, here's how to conduct yourself. Here's how to be. So that what they do, they wander out into the world and they're looking for something. And they get this red pill community saying, here's how you be more disciplined. Here's how you can be fully accountable. Here's how you can be responsible. And guess what? You keep coming back to this community and we're going to make sure that you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing, which is what a father is supposed to be doing in the home. But if there's no father in home, where's the man supposed to get it? Well, the answer is he doesn't get it. All he gets is learning how to be more feminine from his mom, because that's the person he's around. And then you get a man with male physicality with the energies and the mindsets and the habits of a female. That becomes a very dangerous person. All right. This is where all of our problems in society come from, is men who have the energy of a woman because they didn't have a man around teaching them how to be a man. So I'd rather the red pill community teach a man how to be a man than a woman teach a man how to be a man. Even if you don't like the red pill community, even if you don't like, who are some people in the red pill community? So let's say the bald headed guy, the kickboxer, Mr. AT. Y'all know who I'm talking about, right? That guy. TATE, that guy. So let's say you don't like this guy. Let's say you don't like his message. You don't like what he's allegedly about or what his history is, et cetera. And he's got court cases, all those things. I have heard his stuff on mindset, on discipline, on accountability, on motivation, on showing up, on doing your job, on your responsibility as a man. I would 100 times out of 100 rather him teach a man those things than have a woman teach it, period. I would rather have him teach it when it comes to the mindset stuff. I'm not talking about whatever he did on the internet with girls, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the mindset, discipline, showing up, motivation. I'd much rather have him teach it than have a female teach that to a man, any man. And I've heard his stuff, and I co-sign it. Just for the record, I co-sign it. Stuff he's talking about, same things I've been talking about for years. He talks about it in a different way, obviously, and for different reasons because we have different backgrounds. But the material itself is on point. And men need to hear it from a man. Even if a woman were to take everything he said and repeat it back, or you take everything I said and repeat it to a man, doesn't come across the same coming from a female. It needs to come from a man for a reason. So the red pill movement may not necessarily be the best way to go about it, maybe you think, but at least they are trying because they know how. Next point. What the red pill movement does, it warns men about some of the legal and social risks for men when getting into relationships. And this is an important thing for men to understand because we see in society how easily a woman can leverage the system, the legal system, the judicial system against a man in a relationship. You saw it with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. You see it with Mr. AT, whether you believe he is guilty of something or you believe he's not guilty of something. You see he's being run through the ringer through all these situations that people are coming up with him. You saw it happen with Bill Cosby. You've seen this happen back in the day. Mike Tyson. You've seen it happen with Tupac. Whether you believe it or not, the point is that it's always the woman who can throw the accusation at the man. It's not the man throwing the accusation at the woman. Very rarely does that happen. And if so, the burden is so high for the man to prove it, it's not even worth it. So the red pill community is warning men, you get into a relationship with a woman, you got to watch out for all the things that could possibly happen. Red pill talks about things like divorce. Like Michael Jordan got divorced. Biggest settlement in history. The amount of money he had to write, the check that he had to write to his ex-wife. Possible false accusations around things like assaults, custody battles when children are involved, all of which tends to favor the woman. Again, even if you're a woman in here, you're into feminism, we all can agree that when there's a custody battle or a divorce between a man and a woman, the woman usually ends up, quote unquote, winning the situation. Can we all agree to that? The woman usually wins. Things favor the woman. I'm not saying that this is necessarily a bad thing, but if I'm talking to a room full of men, understand the frame here. If I'm talking to a room full of men, I'm going to make sure they understand this really, really well. You're going to get married. Understand that if that relationship doesn't work out, that marriage ends, you're going to get screwed in court. If it ends up in court, you're going to get screwed. So if you get into that marriage, you better know damn well what you're getting into. You get with a woman and she decides for whatever reason she doesn't like the way the relationship ended or that you won't talk to her anymore, that you got a new girl. You don't know. Depending on who that woman is, check her background, check the Carfax, because she might come out with a assault allegation. If you're a known enough person and you have resources, that assault allegation could land you in court, criminal court or civil court, where it may cost you your resources. Generally, this is used against people with resources. You saw this happen with Mr. McGregor, the UFC fighter over in Ireland. Same thing. And again, if you read the documents in that case, I don't believe he was guilty of anything, but he got found guilty and he had to write a check. Who's the other guy? Pete Hegseth in Donald Trump's administration. There was a woman who claimed she called assault on him after they had sex at an event in a hotel. And if you read the documents in the case and heard what she told police, I'm like, whoa, how is this possibly? How could she possibly even come up with this? What is the reason she came up with it? And the reason why she was able to go forward with this and even try it is because society favors the woman in any of these domestic disputes between a man and a woman. It always favors the woman. Now, that is not to say, of course, there's probably somebody in here saying, I will read the comments and respond to them at the end. I'm sure someone is in here either saying or thinking, well, hey, a lot of assaults between a man and a woman don't even get reported by the woman. Do I believe that to be true? I do believe it to be true. A lot of assaults don't get reported. That a woman can deal with abuse and never go to the authorities and say that thing happened and never get the man in trouble. Does that happen? Yes, it does happen. Again, I'm not here to tell you every possible exception to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the red pill community is a bunch of men talking to men. What would you tell a man if you're trying to help the man out? You would tell him everything I'm telling you right here. You damn well better know what you're getting into. Again, why does it need to be the red pill community that points this out? The whole world should be pointing this out. Women should be pointing this out. If you're not a woman who would abuse the system against a man, you should be pointing out to the men that you know. Red pill just took ownership of the conversation. That's it. They didn't create the conversation. They just took ownership of it. And someone should take ownership of it because it encourages men to protect their assets and make informed decisions when it comes to marriage and dating. This has always been the case. They just censored the conversation. That's it. So we cannot pretend as if we have not seen, as I already explained, many well-known men have assault charges levied against them and end up in criminal court or civil court, and it costing them money with the burden of proof being very low. In the civil court, it's more likely than not. That's how you win a civil case. If you can get the jury to believe that more likely than not that thing happened, then the man has to write you a check. That's how Conor McGregor had it happen to him. That's how Mr. AT is probably going to have it happen to him. That's how, what's the guy's name? Donald Trump had it happen to him. All you got to do is more likely than not, now you got to write a check. And if the woman believes you have resources, then, and the jury knows you have resources, especially if you're famous, oh, you're writing that check. You're writing the check. That's happening. And this is the reason why the red pill community is coming out and saying, man, you got to protect yourself because a woman will do this to you, especially if you're known. Especially if you are known for having resources, because then the whole jury knows about you. The news knows about it. They're going to smear your name online before you even get into the courtroom. What's the chances of you winning? Very small. And there are many others. And some of these allegations are complete nonsense. Some of them may be based on something real. But are they always? No. So next, what the red pill community does. You want to come up here? It creates, what's that on your shirt? Okay. It creates male-centered spaces and places for building brotherhoods, as many men, as I've already explained, feel alienated in today's society. As I said, social media has contributed to this, where many men feel completely. What is that on your shirt, son? Something on your shirt? Slime. Is that slime? Yeah. Many men feel alienated because social media, first of all, has created a separation. Those of you who are old enough, you're over the age of 30, you remember that your parents used to send you outside to go play. You look forward to going outside to play, to interact with people in real life. Whereas nowadays, a lot of people are doing their interactions through the internet. And especially if you're a man, where it's not like, bye-bye. It's not like you're getting a ton of attention just by being a man on the internet. A woman gets a lot more attention just because of her beauty and looks than a man is going to get regardless of what he's doing. All right, even me talking right now. If I was a woman just showing off my body, I have 10 times more people looking at me right now than what I'm doing right now. And a lot of men feel completely isolated in society. And when you're isolated and alienated, anybody who supplies anything to meet the demand of you wanting some attention and someone focusing on you, you're going to respond to it. Again, the red pill movement has done exactly this. And what it does is it creates an environment where men find they're being supported. They're dealing with other men who are talking about the things that they need. It encourages a tribe mentality where men can hold each other accountable. And within those communities, keep each other disciplined. And tribe mentality is not a negative thing. That's a positive thing, depending on the way that you want to look at it. And I believe this is also, all of this is exacerbated by the fact that some of the women that men would generally have access to, as I've already explained, those women have access to so much more just because of their ability to show themselves online and get access to so many men. Whereas now they are not limited to just the 5 guys in their neighborhood. Now they're open to 500 guys. Or 500,000 who are following them on Instagram. And again, what does a man get? He gets nothing. The man does not have that access, even though he has the internet. He can look at the girl, but he doesn't have access to the girl. Because what happens, for those who don't understand this, in the sexual marketplace, women's value tends to hit its peak at a much younger age than a man's value hits its peak. Because a woman's value in the sexual marketplace is in her beauty and in her fertility. That's the value of a woman in the sexual marketplace. How good do you look and how able are you to bear children? And women tend to reach their peaks in that in their early years, in their 20s and maybe into the early 30s. Doesn't mean you can't still have kids later. Doesn't mean you can't still be pretty later. But you understand generally women hit their peak of these things in their 20s and maybe into their early 30s. Whereas a man's value in the sexual marketplace is not about how good he looks. Doesn't mean a man shouldn't look good. But the man's value in the sexual marketplace is his ability to produce and in his resources. That's a man's value. So a man at his peak and a woman at her peak, that woman might be 25, the man might be 50. And this is the reason why you see a man who's way older dating a woman who's way younger. So an example, and this is a hyper example, would be like Bill Belichick, NFL coach. Well, used to be NFL coach, now in college. He's like 80. How old is Bill Belichick? 70, 80 years old. He's dating a girl who's like 23. And that's Bill Belichick is famous, so we know about it, but is not that rare. And it could be, ages could be a little bit closer, but you'll see a man in his 40s or 50s with a woman who's in her 20s. Why is this? Because the woman's at her peak when it comes to her looks and fertility, and the man is at his peak when it comes to his ability to produce resources. Men tend to hit their financial stride between the ages of 45 and 55. And why is this? Because they need time to build up their careers, build up their resumes, build up their skill sets, and then they start making the money that they want to make somewhere between 45 and 55. And at that point, they're the most desired men for women, period, regardless of age. These are the most desired men because men are desired based on their resources, whether they're pretty or not. And trust me, any of you who's from a smaller town, go to a city like New York, LA, Vegas, or Miami, and you will see a whole bunch of men who are not physically attractive. I can even say this as a heterosexual man. You see a whole bunch of unattractive men with really attractive women. And this is one of the reasons. And they'll be with women who are very physically attractive. And those women they have a lot of suitors because of who they are, and they can pick and choose which one they want. So as a woman who's 27, who's at her physical peak of beauty, going to date a man who's 27 who hasn't quite gotten to where he's going to get to? No, she's probably not even going to date that guy. She doesn't have to. Back in the day, she might not see herself as having a bunch of options. So maybe she will date that guy and be happy with it because she didn't see other options. Nowadays, she has a bunch of options in her DMs. Why she had to date this guy who's only making $70,000 a year when this guy who's making $700,000 a month, he's interested in her? Which one would you take if you were the woman? This is the situation. So it's much easier for a woman to get a lot of attention because of her looks, because all you got to do is take a picture. Boom, you show everybody what you got. Now, a man, how do you get attention? Well, I guess you could take pictures with cars and things like that. But again, are you going to get the same attention as a woman? Probably not. So generally, I agree with the overall frame of what the red pill community is about. And I'm going to take questions in a minute. Men can only be built up by other men, as I've already explained. A woman can get built up by the attention she gets from men. And she can learn how to be a woman from a woman. But a man does not get built up by a woman. A woman cannot build up a man as a general rule. Now, can a woman encourage a man and help him and support him? Yes. Okay, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you want to make a man into a man, he needs to learn it from a man. A female cannot teach a man how to be a man. If you're a single parent woman out there and you have a male child, you cannot teach him how to be a man. You can teach him as much as you can. You can't teach him how to be a man. He has to learn that from a man, period. So I am a strong advocate of men being heavily involved in the raising of their children, especially male children. As again, man, woman, child in a house. Men can only truly be held accountable and learn discipline from other men who are accountable and disciplined themselves. A man cannot learn discipline from a woman, not the type of male discipline that we need. And one caution I'll give to any man who's engaging with red pill material. And again, tomorrow I'm going to give the anti side of the red pill. I thought this was anti. This is not anti. But make sure that you don't spend so much time around men that you lose your touch and never have any ability when it comes to women. This is one of the pushbacks that I've heard people give to the red pill community is that some men, and they're saying, I think I heard Jordan Peterson talk about this the other day, that in the world today that a lot of men who are 18, 25, 30 are not having sex, that these men are what they call them incels, involuntary celibate men, that they want to have sex, but they can't find a woman who is willing to have sex with them. So men are losing their virginity at later and later ages. And there are men who are going a whole year or years, plural, without having any sexual activity with a female. So, and that's not necessarily because they're in the red pill community. But what I'm saying is a word of caution. If you're a man and you get involved in the red pill community, don't spend so much time around men that you forget how to deal with a woman. You still got to be able to actually have a conversation with a woman. So I've had people leave comments on me on my video when I'm talking about a certain subject on YouTube, and they'll say something like, well, these red pill guys will be on the internet and they'll be talking all this stuff about girls. And then when they go actually talk to a girl in real life, they don't have any game. They don't know how to talk to the girl. And I don't know if those things are true or not. These are just people randomly leaving comments, and I don't know who these people are. But one word of caution I'll give to any man. Don't spend so much time around men and so much time on your phone that you forget how to actually engage with an actual woman in real life. You still need to have that ability at some point, regardless of what you've been taught by the red pill community. Eventually, you got to take it outside and actually do something with it. So all that said, I already told y'all, tomorrow I will give the con side. Today I was giving the pro side of the red pill community. Tomorrow I'm going to give the con side of the red pill and what negative things people say about the red pill. I may not agree with all of them, but I'm going to argue that side and help you all draw your own conclusions. Some of you may already have conclusions about the red pill community. Let's get into it here and let's open the floor up for conversation. I will start over on YouTube, then Instagram, then I'll come to TikTok. Most of the comments are on TikTok, so give me 1 second if you're on TikTok. Cynthia said, good morning. I agree. I want my man to be a man. I help when I can. Yes, exactly. So when you say you want your man to be a man, Cynthia, my question is, what exactly does that mean? There's a lot of people say that, but what do you mean by that? J Tiff was going on over there on Instagram. Willa Vila said, I agree with all that you're saying to have a strong society. Yes, well, it's absolutely needed. We're going to have a strong society. The men must be doing their jobs. So let's see what we got. Traditional all D. Good morning. Carla, Indiana. Good morning. Grammy Liz, what jobs? I don't know what you were referring to. So I'm reading the comments from the top and scrolling down. So if you're leaving a comment right now, yes, this is live. This is not AI. And I am reading the comments, but I'm going back to the top. Joey said, take women out of the equation and you have the Middle East. Well, they like it that way. That's the way they live. They haven't overturned that system because that's the way that they like it. Carla, thank you for the goats. Joey, what do you disagree with? I see you left a few comments, but you haven't actually said you disagree with anything. So what do you disagree with? What is the red pill? Sally asked. So let me read the definition. According to what I found, red pill movement is a controversial ideology that originated from men's self-improvement communities and has expanded and brought in discussions on dating, gender dynamics, and society. That is generally the way I've seen it. And everything I've explained explains what the red pill movement has been about. So hopefully you got all that. Gumby 007, good morning. Traditional said our men are not taking charge. Well, that's why you need to send them to the red pill. So you can learn how to take charge. And which men are you talking about, Traditional? Grammy said, I am a boss. I am a business owner. Okay, great. And you said Grammy said most men appreciate a woman who respects herself. I think all men appreciate a woman who respects herself. It depends on what you mean by respects herself. People, some of you use these terms that are very relative terms, which means different people can use that exact term but mean something completely different. High Class said, I'm a boss lady, but not at home. I don't want to be the boss at home. I hear a lot of women say things like what you just said. Gumby, I've heard of Kevin Samuels. The other two people you mentioned, I have not heard of. Kimberly said he's giving who you talking about? What are you talking about? What's DL mean? Amanda said men have superiority in one area, women in another. Women don't value theirs. Amanda, what do you mean by that? Give me some context. Traditional said, I appreciated Kevin Samuels' messaging. Well, there are women who did, but the most vocal people, they call them in the internet community, especially called the vocal minority, they very much did not appreciate Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels, a lot of people who did not appreciate him. Mr. Swift Crashmore, thank you. I appreciate it. Like the suit. Gumby said, this man is hitting it out of the park. Thank you, Gumby. Yes, Carla, thank you for telling people to tap the screen. We're at 29,000 likes, folks. Can we get to 40,000 here today? Maybe even 50, depending on what these comments are looking like. We're at 29. First of all, let's get to 30, and then let's get to 40. GM745, thank you for the follow. Linda B2165, good morning. Carla said, Julia Roberts says you can't out kitten the kittens. Yes, that's right. Less used. Yeah, well, Kevin Samuels used to say that. He said he would say to women, he would say a woman would be on there with 2 kids, and she's like, well, I want a man who makes $400,000 a year, and I want to not be responsible for the bill. And Kevin Samuels would say, why would any man who makes $400,000 a year be interested in you with your used vagina? He would say that directly to them right on the videos. And he was right. I mean, he was saying it. It was a very crass way of saying it, but it doesn't mean it's not true. Danny's, thank you for the follow. Gumby said, no man of value wants a high mileage, used up older model. Hint, hint. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what Kevin Samuels used to say, women right to their faces. That's the reason why a lot of people didn't like him, because of the bluntness of his message, not because his message was inaccurate. Erica, thank you for the heart. B-Dog916, thanks for the follow. High Class White Trash says, love this breakdown. Thank you. Easy Sam 305. Shout out to Miami. Yes, it's beautiful here. The humidity is coming now. You open the door and the humidity just hits you. I like it. This is my kind of season. Carlos said, please have some homemaking skills. Kevin Samuels used to ask women that. He would say, are you a wife? He would just ask them, are you a wife? Do you know what it even means to be a wife? And as a matter of fact, any of you who's a content creator, but if you're a content creator, someone needs to come out, a female needs to come out and just start doing content about how to be a wife. You could do it on TikTok in 90-second bursts. You could do it on YouTube in 90-minute bursts. But there needs to be a woman out there just making content, telling women how to be a wife. Because I think a lot of women don't even know what that means. Because Kevin Samuels would ask the question, are you a wife? And a lot of women wouldn't quite know how to answer the question. And then he would start asking questions. He was like, well, do you clean? Do you do laundry? Do you wash the dishes? Or do you know how to cook? Or do you have a cookbook? And there'll be some really funny answers to these questions if you go listen to any of his old content, Kevin Samuels. But I think a lot of women just don't know how to be a wife. And because of the feminism movement, I think a lot of women who would previously be encouraged to learn how to be a wife don't want to, because the feminist movement has kind of conditioned a lot of women to believe trying to be a wife means you are kind of subjugating yourself, or you're making yourself lesser because you're being a wife. Although at the same time, again, there's still a large percentage of women out there who are 100% on board with being a wife, happy with being in the number two position to a man. The issue is not a lot of them have big platforms on the internet, because the internet is rooted in Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley is very left leaning. So the women who have a more conservative view of relationships and conservative view of being a woman, their message is not as big or as widespread as messages from the other side, which is more on the feminist side. So this is why I'm saying there's a wide open lane. There's a wide open lane there for women who know how to be a wife and are willing to talk about it and put it out there publicly. There's a wide open lane because there are women out there who want to hear the message, but they don't have anyone to hear it from. So if somebody wants to do that, there's a full brand idea for you. So Carla, what you said, homemaking skills, yes. And a lot of women don't even know what that means. That's the issue, Carl. People don't, when you say homemaking skills, a lot of people are like, well, what is that? That's the issue. That's the issue. Gumby said, high value man who has resources also has options, so they're not monogamous. Well, Kevin Samuels talked about that a little bit as well. Actually, talked about it a lot. Traditional said, our men are too feminized. Yes, there are a lot of feminized men out here. Night of Confusion said, been saying these for years. Glad someone with a platform experiencing the voices out there. Appreciate you, Night of Confusion. So Sally answered the red pill question. Gumby said, a lot of women are willing to share a high status, high value man than be exclusive with a low value man. Generally true. That is generally true. Not a lot of women will announce that in public, but you can, by their actions, yes. Let's see. High Class said, I stay out of man stuff. Yes, which is what men want. I mean, this is why men have man caves in their homes. So they have some space they can go to where the woman just doesn't come for a reason. High Class said, my sons are taught man stuff by dad. Yes, exactly. That's why dad needs to be around. That's the point. Gumby said, the preacher is on fire. Thank you, Gumby. Jamie said, I disagree. As a woman who had a very strong man as a father, I raised a man on my own. Well, Jamie, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that you raised him from a boy and he became a man. At the same time, Jamie, I'm telling you that a young man cannot learn how to be a man from a female. And so where's the dad, Jamie? Let me ask you that question. Where was the dad while you were raising this boy who became a man? Where was he? Was he around? Did he have any influence on the son? Because that son did not get everything he needed from his mom. That is impossible. No matter how much you tried, you're not capable. Gumby said, check out the Unplugged Alpha. Never heard of him, but sounds like type of person who probably is in the red pill community. Ricky says, statistics prove that a complete household produces successful children. Of course it does. That's the way it was designed by our higher being. So we don't even need statistics to know, but statistics for people who need it, fine. But God designed it, man, woman, child. That's all anybody needs to know. I don't need to read any data to know that. Insightful said, because a man will yell, a man will tell another man to abuse a woman. I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean by that? April Poe said, we need more leading men in the world. Yeah, yes, we do, especially in Western society, because Western society is going backwards right now because of a lack of leadership by men. Gumby said, modern day feminism is not about equality, it's about female superiority. That's toxic. Well, if you ask anyone who is a modern day feminist, they would probably say, well, it's a correction. It's a correction for what happened in the past. Men were completely dominant, so now we got to correct and make women dominant to balance it out. Same thing that Ibram X. Kendi said when it came to anti-racism. Since racism was so strong against black people back in the day, now we got to make it strong against white people to balance it out. And his whole argument was historic feminism, not feminism. Racism in the past means we must be racist in the present, and any racism in the present means we got to be racist in the future. That is literally what he said in his own book. I'm not a fan of that. Is that you don't fix if you consider that a wrong, you don't fix a wrong with another wrong. You make it right. So what you're saying is correct. Alfred said, what? All men do not abuse women. I don't think I said that. Did I say that? I don't think so. Bonita said, we got to make at least 20,000. Who's we? Carlos said, a woman being in a masculine role creates stress for her and the others in her life. Yes, I would think so. I've heard women say that. And when they have to step into a masculine role, they're more stressed because not their natural state. Tillman, good morning, sir. Good to see you. Kimberly said, how are so many single women thriving? Define thriving, Kimberly, and how do you know that they're thriving? Because they posted it on Facebook? What do you mean by thriving? Let's get a definition of the term. Trizzy says, natural roles, we are human, not sports, dog. What does this have to do with sports? Natural roles is a natural role. Natural role of a man is to lead. Natural role of a woman is to support the man. Have you read the chapter of Genesis in the Bible? Natural role of the man is to lead. He created the woman to be a support system to the man. And when a woman did something that she wasn't supposed to do and led the man into doing the wrong thing, the first thing God did was address the man. He didn't address the woman. The woman was the one who messed up. Those of y'all know the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, when the woman was deceived by the serpent to bite into the apple, and then they end up covering themselves so they realized that they were naked. And God realized that they had done something wrong. What's the first thing God did? When God realized that Adam and Eve, had done something wrong, what's the first thing God did? First thing God did was address the man, even though it was Eve who messed up. He addressed Adam. He said, Adam, where are you? As soon as he saw the woman messing up, he said, where's the man? Because the man is the one who was accountable. God was holding the man accountable for the mistake that the woman made. That should tell you everything you need to know. Traditional says single woman had to adopt the masculine role. Yes, that's correct. And that puts more stress on the woman. And then she becomes more masculine, and it becomes harder for her to even get a man later because she spends so much time in the masculine. It's hard for her to go back to the feminine. Trizzy said, red pill isn't a good lifestyle for men. It's not good, dude. Well, what about it? What's your challenge to it? And I just spent an hour talking about it. So what's your challenge, Trizzy? Tara Marie said, because that's what red pill does. What? What are you referring to? Tillman, thanks for telling people to tap the screen. We're at 36. Can we get to 40,000 likes, folks? Trizzy said, I don't know how you sleep at night lying to people all day. What am I lying about? What was the lie? It's a funny comment, but what am I lying about? Tillman said, that's why I talk about phenomenal fatherhood. Yes, very important. E. Kemp says, a real alpha never tries to explain what another's role is. They respect the role you're in, period. Well, first of all, I don't know who you mean by a real alpha. I don't know who you're referring to. I never refer to myself as any of those Greek letters. But as far as never tries to explain what another's role is, that's incorrect. That's false. When you're in a leadership position, you must clearly define everyone's role so everyone knows exactly what is expected of them and how their work will be measured so that everyone's on the same page. You absolutely tell people what their role is. If you're a leader, you're a boss in the company, you don't tell everyone what their role is. People just show up and do what they want to do. You're going to have chaos. Chaos and disorder are staved off by systems, processes, and guardrails. M.H. Josh says, what you recommend for a man to do increase his value in the dating market. Be more disciplined, be more accountable, be more responsible, and go and actually become a high producing man. In the sexual, whoever's pinning the comments, Carla, I believe that's you. Leave it up there until I finish talking about it, because sometimes I need to reread the comment before I finish talking about it. So in the sexual dating marketplace, ladies and gentlemen, a man's value is based on his ability to produce outcomes, produce resources, and one of the most important resources is money. Because when you have money, you can pretty much produce anything you want. So if a man wants to step his value up in the sexual dating marketplace, become a more disciplined person, be a more accountable and responsible person, and of course work on your career, business, etc., allows you to make money. At the same time, make sure you get in great physical shape. There's no reason why a man should not be in great shape, because it doesn't take money to be in shape. Even if you can't afford a gym membership, you can do push-ups and sit-ups in your house. So a man should be in great physical shape, number one. That's the first way you can show a woman, without her even knowing you, that you are a disciplined person. And the women who are in here, can y'all co-sign it? Women, put the word co-sign if you co-sign what I just said. First way a man can show a woman that he's disciplined is just by being in shape. She don't have to talk to you. She can just walk past you on the street. All right, I know that guy's disciplined because he couldn't have a physique like that without working out on a consistent basis. Any man can do that, even if you're completely broke. It's just work out every day. Be in shape. And the next thing is be a more disciplined person, meaning wake up when you're supposed to wake up, go to bed when you're supposed to go to bed, do the stuff you're supposed to do over the course of a day. Don't be wasting time on social media scrolling through pictures of girls showing off their asses. That's discipline. Be accountable for what you're supposed to get done at your job and your business, and be a responsible individual. Anybody can do those things, even if you don't have resources. But if you're doing those things, resources are going to be the natural byproduct. So that's the way a man can start to step his value up in the marketplace. And don't think that just because you're doing that, all of a sudden the floodgates are going to open for you. For men, here's the thing for men is that this is why discipline matters so much, because you have to understand and value delayed gratification. For a man, you get your gratification usually in your later than a woman gets her gratification. A woman gets her gratification because she is youthful, she has a nice body, she's pretty, and she is fertile. So she gets her gratification earlier in life than a man does. A man gets his highest levels of gratification usually, again, over the age of 40, creeping up on the age of 60. That's when a man gets his highest levels of gratification, because that's when you hit your stride professionally. And that's when you are the most valued in the marketplace because of what you can produce. That's when you have more access. A woman gets more access in her 20s and into her 30s, whereas a man gets more access in his 40s, 50s, and maybe even to his 60s. So that's a discipline in and of itself, the delayed gratification. Doesn't mean you can't have fun when you're 20, 30, but again, you'll have much more options in your 40s, 50s, into your 60s if you play the game the right way. Let's see. Where are we? Kingsley said, MAGA propagandists in a suite. Why do people keep misspelling the word suit? There's no E in suit. You said sweet. I know what you're trying to say, Kingsley, but I didn't say anything about MAGA in this whole conversation. So please bring some substance to the conversation. Renata said, I ran to your page this morning just to ask your thoughts on Cory's speech, 24 hours history. I saw that Cory Booker was giving that speech. I don't know. What did he actually accomplish? So I guess he could get in the Guinness Book of World Records for giving a speech, but what did he actually accomplish? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Actually, I'm not trying to figure it out. I know he accomplished nothing. So actually, that's what I was saying. High Class said, I teach my boys this. Good stuff. Megan said, a woman who isn't disciplined, accountable, and responsible is a red flag. Very broad words. I didn't say that. Megan, I didn't say that. So that's a straw man. You're misconstruing my point. I said a man needs to be these things. Disciplined, accountable, and responsible. And a woman appreciates a man who is those things, and she will follow a man who is those things. I didn't say anything about a woman having to be that. So a couple people disagree with something that I said. What was it? If you put the word disagree, I don't know what you're talking about, because by the time you leave a comment, by the time I read your comment, I'm way past the point that you commented on. Racing said, don't get married. I can tell you firsthand. All right, well, tell us why. Why? Renata said, movie Daddy's Girl showed the reality of the system. I'm sure it did. I didn't see that. What's the daddy? Who was in that movie? I don't think I saw that. Redhead and Proud-ish says it's true because kids are with mothers more than fathers generally, and society expects that. All right, fair enough. Sugar, good morning to you. Traditional said court cases favor women. Oh, absolutely they do. Court case between a man and a woman from a relationship, the man's going to get screwed. That's why you don't want to end up in court. That's the whole point. Trizzy said, only dude defending McGregor and Hegseth so bought. Bought by who? Who paid me? Tell me where they sent the money. I ain't get it. And did I defend them? Yeah, I guess you could say I did defend them. Did you read the court documents, Trizzy? If you didn't read the court documents, then you have no ground to stand on. Carlos said, love Hegseth. He's been working out with the troops every day. Yeah, I saw that. Racing says because women isn't held accountable, even if she was swinging crazy. Sometimes she will be held accountable, but we all know 9 times out of 10, the man is going to get screwed. We all know this is the case. Even females know that's the case. Redhead said, I've heard men and women say women can't abuse because they're weaker. Well, generally that's true. Redhead and Proudest, generally that's true. Men tend to be bigger, stronger, and have more musculature than a woman. But what I'm saying is not even so much that a man takes a woman to court for abuse. What I'm saying is that a woman takes a man to court for any form of abuse or assault, and she has even a reasonable way of saying she was abused or assaulted, the man is probably going to lose in some way, shape, or form. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that women go around beating men. Generally, that doesn't happen. Does it happen? Yes. But generally, does it happen? No. What I'm saying is that if a woman accuses a man's probably going to lose something in the process of that accusation. That's what I'm saying. Bravo. Good morning to you. Tillman said, I remember floppy disk. Thank you for sharing a live user error. Megan said, Hegseth is not qualified for his job. Well, yes, he is, because that job is not based on a qualification. It's based on being appointed by the president. So he has it, so he's qualified. Having the job is your qualification. Megan, sometimes when I'm doing these live streams, somebody will leave a comment and say, Dre, what qualifies you to talk about the topic? And my qualification is the fact that I'm talking about it. That's how qualifications work. And qualification is a very subjective term, so we got to be careful throwing that word around. Everybody's been throwing it around since the 2024 election. Qualified is subjective. So if you think someone is qualified and someone else thinks they're not, neither one of you is right or wrong. It's just your opinion. Qualification is an opinion, is not an objective measure, unless they are clearly laid out. You need this to be qualified. Like if you apply for a job and they say, all right, to apply for this job, you got to have this kind of degree, and you got to have this many years of experience, and you got to live in this place. Those are black and white qualifications. But if the qualification is not in black and white, it's just what people want, then it's highly subjective. Actually, it's completely subjective. Pete said, thoughts on adolescence. What's your question? I need a better question than thoughts on XYZ. Leah said, don't worry, women can work now so we can start the pink pill. The pink pill already exists, Leah. It's called feminism. There's no pink pill. We already got it. Carly said, I don't know anything about Bill. We don't talk about him in Indiana. Go Colts. Bill Parcells. I mean, not Parcells. Bill Belichick. Yes. Renata said, the men take the thirst trap pics wearing gray sweatpants. Yes, that's true. That's why, again, the discipline of a man is, it doesn't mean you will never look. Because, again, I mean, a man's still a man. But you got to be disciplined enough to look for 5 minutes to get back to your work. Nico said, thank you, Mr. Baldwin, for the motivational, educational videos. Thank you. Glad you got value out of it. Stevie Martin Jones, thank you for the follow. Let's see. DJ Class, thank you for the follow. Let's see. Bree said, I think at this point in the U.S., we should let women take over, but strong women like Nikki or Tulsi. No, I don't think so. At no point. Bree, I completely disagree with this. No, we are not going to let, first of all, if you're going to be in a leadership position, people don't let you lead. Leadership is taken, is not given. So the whole conversation about women being in charge, people say, well, we should put women in charge or let women be in charge. The fact that you even worded it like that is proof that a woman should not be in charge. Because if someone has to let you be in charge, you're not really in charge. The person who's in charge is the person who let you be in charge. Y'all see Game of Thrones? Y'all remember when King Joffrey, the little boy, was the king? But who was really in charge when King Joffrey was the king? Who was really in charge was the dad. What was his name? The main guy. What was his name? Lannister. His first name. Tywin. He was really in charge. Tywin was really in charge, and Joffrey was allowed to be in charge. But if Tywin just said, Tywin was the one making all the decisions, even though Joffrey had the crown on his head and he sat on the throne. He didn't have any real power. So if someone's letting you be in charge, you have no power. Amber said, men listen to other men, period. Well, they need to for certain subjects. There are times when a man should listen to a woman. Let's be clear. There are times when a man should listen to a woman. For example, if I'm getting dressed and I want to make sure my suit is looking right, I will go to a woman and ask her what she thinks before I go to a man and ask him what he thinks, generally speaking. So there are times that you should listen to a woman, but on a certain subject, you need to listen to a man. None of your business said that's because most follow Jesus who was not married. Is that how you're going to try to debunk the point? Truth Zeker said a lot of women don't know what a woman is. Are you a man or a woman making this comment? Because if you're a man, then I would say you're unqualified. But if you're a woman, then I understand. Traditional said a lot of women don't know how to be a wife. That's why I said there's a lot wide open lane for somebody to go and start making content about this, because I think there's a huge need in the marketplace. High Class said, I had a man in my prime who took care of me and paid the bills and beat me. Add respect to your list. Okay, well, it's an anecdotal experience. I'm not saying it didn't happen. And respect, well, that's part of discipline, accountability, and responsibility. It falls under the umbrella of those three things. None of your business. Stop spamming my comments. I heard you. I saw you the first time you said it. AU Hunter said, if you want to know about a man, ask a man. If you want to know about a woman, ask a woman. Let me think about that. Actually, I would agree with that. That's a good point. Generally, I would accept that. High Class said, I'm not with my son's dad, but he's still a dad. I cannot teach a boy to be a man. Yes. Even if the relationship doesn't work out, the dad has to be involved with a boy or a girl, but especially a boy. Carlos said, when men stand up and take their role, women will automatically take their role, hopefully. Not hopefully, guaranteed. Carlo, that's guaranteed. When men take their positions and do their jobs, women will naturally fall into their positions. It naturally happens. What's happening with a lot of men is that a lot of men have been taught to not play their position and follow and do their role. And because men are not doing what they're supposed to do, women are looking at it and saying, okay, well, they ain't doing it. I got to do it. women are responding to what men are failing to do. So one of the bones that I would throw at feminism, for lack of a better phraseology there, one of the bones I throw at feminism is that feminism only rose because men stopped doing their jobs. If men would just do their jobs, we had no need for feminism. So feminism was not something that women just came up with and said, let's find a way to disturb men. Let's find a way to make men uncomfortable. Let's find a way to mess up society by coming up with this feminism thing. The only reason feminism came to exist is because men were not doing their jobs. If men did their jobs, there would be no feminism. Feminism would never even be thought of if men were just doing their jobs. Because men were not doing their jobs, feminism continued to get bigger and bigger, and a bunch of men looked at feminism and kept not doing their jobs, and this is why feminism has gotten bigger and bigger. Men would just step up and do their jobs, and the red pill community is at least directionally pointing men towards doing their jobs. That will push feminism back into the shadows where it belongs. So none of y'all said you don't know how to many because what are you saying here? I don't know what you're saying. High Class said, are you a lawyer? Your thought process reminds me of my lawyer. So no, I'm not a lawyer, but every day when I'm on TikTok, High Class, somebody asks me if I'm a lawyer. So what I tell people is I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TikTok. I am not a lawyer. I do not have a law degree, but I know a lot of lawyers, and I actually work with some lawyers. Well, some lawyers are clients of mine and in my programs. So shout out to the lawyers out there. Iceland Moreno said, I had no choice but to become the masculine role. Never had a father myself, and neither my child. I don't mind being a single woman. It actually gives me more peace and make a pretty decent income. Fair enough, Iceland. If that's your life experience, fine. Now, what I would say to you is your child. So how'd your child end up without a father? How'd that happen is the first question I'd ask. And second, you don't mind being a single woman. Well, fair enough. I mean, whatever situation is a person is in, they probably don't mind it. Otherwise, they would be in panic mode. It gives you more peace. Well, I mean, I think you could have peace in a relationship with a man. It just depends on who the man is, right? So that's what I would say in slight pushback to what you're saying here. I get what you're saying and where you're coming from. At the same time, there's a counter to your points. Life of Lentz says, yeah, good luck with that. Or Adam lied. Adam's apple is the apple he ate. Where'd you get that from, Life of Lentz? Is there some alternative story there? What are you saying? So MH Josh answered that one. Carla said, most people miss that. God also kicked Adam out of the garden and Eve just went, yeah. Greek letters, yes. Yes, that's what they are, right? Aren't they Greek? Saber said, if God exists, he is absolutely cruel. Well, I think he has the right to be if he wants to be. Okay, so a bunch of you co-signed that. So I think this isn't the whole society, but a bunch of women co-signed what I said. Erica said, love it. They will be happier also. Yes. Carla said, co-sign, but facing my own need to be in shape. Yes, a man wants a woman to be in shape too. So women out there, you know a man's disciplined by noticing that he's in shape without even speaking to him. And a man wants a woman to be in shape too. So let's not forget that part. Bree said, my peak as a woman was never physical. It was owning a lot of real estate and adding zeros to the bank. Oh, that's a masculine frame, Bree. So Bree, you're a female. That's a masculine frame. So if you're doing that, fine. I'm not knocking you for doing it. So if you want to own real estate and add zeros to your bank account, do you. At the same time, a man who also reaches his peak by doing the same thing that you're doing is going to look at you. And the problem is subconsciously, most men couldn't consciously explain this, but I'm going to explain it to you right now. Subconsciously, the man's looking at you and saying, well, I can't be in a relationship with her because I'm going to be in competition with her. It's two men in a relationship. You can't have two masculine people in a relationship. So you're in your masculine because your peak is about making money. Well, his peak is about making money too. So who's the woman in the relationship? You or him? If you're out there seeing your best version of you is how much money you made, and his best version of him, how much money he makes. So y'all could be friends. Y'all could be accountability partners, but y'all can't be in a relationship. Who's the woman? Somebody got to be the woman. And it sounds like it ain't you. Now, you could find a man who will be in a relationship with you, but he's going to have to be in his feminine and play the number 2 spot while you play the number 1 spot. That is not either of your natural roles. Doesn't mean it can't, quote unquote, work, but that's not your natural role. I heard Megyn Kelly talking about this, as a matter of fact. Megyn Kelly seems like the type of woman who's in the number 1 spot in her relationship, and it seems to be working, at least according to what we hear her say. I don't know anything about her husband or their relationship. He's been on her show a couple times, but that is not the natural role for either of them. Doesn't make her wrong. Doesn't make him wrong. It's just not the natural role. Kate said, we're only worth what we look like. That's just so messed up. No, that's not what I said, Kate. You're oversimplifying my point. A woman's sexual marketplace value is in her looks and in her fertility. Now, that doesn't mean that a woman who is 50 years old and her looks may have faded somewhat and she is no longer going to give birth, doesn't mean that woman cannot still be valuable. Doesn't mean she can't still be in a relationship. Doesn't mean she can't still be a good wife. Doesn't mean she can't still be a good mom. Doesn't mean she can't still be a contributing member of a community. There are plenty of women who fit that description who are still walking around the world and are still valued. I'm not saying that's all you're worth. I'm saying that's your sexual marketplace value. And by the way, Kate, once you become married and have children, you're no longer in the sexual marketplace. When you're married, you're not on the marketplace anymore. You're not available anymore. So if you're 25 and you get married, you're off the market because you're taken, you're spoken for. So I'm talking about a woman who is single and out there. But if you're married and you're taken, then the equation is completely different. So hopefully that clears things up for you. Jordan said, DEA decided women married have cheat, defender, children. Jordell, I don't quite understand your comment. High Class said, thank you for speaking on qualified. Yes, a lot of people have been throwing that word around a lot since Kamala came in. Corona Blue said, I love your morning sessions. I wanted to buy your book, but it's $200 on Amazon. Yeah, we set the price there. I don't know which book you're talking about, but which book you're talking about, I'll tell you where to get it for less than $200. Significantly less than $200. To Amber and Beyond said, leadership is given by followers. Yeah, Tywin. Amber, no, I challenge that. Leadership is taken. It's not given by anybody. Nobody can give you leadership. If someone gives you leadership, you're not truly a leader. Leadership is taken, not given. Now, in the corporate world, yes, you can say someone was given a leadership role by vote or committee. I'm talking in a more, for lack of a better term, an animalistic. You're not given the lead. High Class said, why aren't people aware of their verbiage? Let me do what? I don't think so. Well, most people don't think about this stuff consciously. So High Class White Trash, you mentioned a lawyer earlier. Well, you tend to think this way. Most people don't think this way. So that's why. Megan said, being a leader is like being a lady. You have to tell people you are or you're not. Yes, I agree. Jordell said, consistent of 4 second language control. Decide. I have no idea what you're talking about, Jordell. Are you speaking English? Space Coast says, so this is your day job. My day job? I don't know. I have a business. My business is called Work on Your Game. We work with professional entrepreneurs on systematizing and scaling their business from 6 figures to 7 figures. That's my full-time business. But this is something that I do. I like doing this every day. So is this my day job? I wouldn't call it that. Cash Money said, if you play Alonzo Mourning one-on-one, I put my money on you. Oh, it depends. Is Alonzo Mourning still playing? Is he in shape? Is if so, he might win because he's like 7 feet tall. I haven't played in a while, so it depends on how much time we had to get ready for the game. Space Coast said, thanks for the acknowledgement. Have a good day. You too. Lee and Lee said, yes, you missed a great topic. Tomorrow we're going to talk on the flip side of this. I only talked about one side today. Bree said, abusive husband is not anecdotal because I was also married. He was abusive, so I left. Oh, it is anecdotal because you're talking about your personal experience. Anecdotal means your personal experience or a one-off story makes it anecdotal. Just because there are 10 of them doesn't mean it's not still anecdotal. Now, if you're saying that it happens on a widespread level that you can prove, then it becomes not anecdotal. MH says, how do you deal with a woman who is bound by her emotions? Welcome to life. Every woman is bound by her emotions. It sounds like you need to join the red pill community. Every woman is bound by her emotions. All right? Any woman you meet who is not bound by her emotions, that's a masculine energy woman. You probably don't want to date her either. I think you need to learn how to deal with the emotions of a woman is what you need to do. And what I've heard women say, and I want women to co-sign this, tell me if I got it right or wrong, put co-sign if I got it right, and tell me if I got it wrong. That a woman, when she gets into her emotions, she wants, if she has a man in her life, she wants the man to to receive the emotions, to allow her to vent her emotions, and just be a strong masculine figure so that she can vent her emotions, work through and process her emotions, and then she will generally calm herself down when the man is just playing his position of being a masculine man. What the woman does not need is for the man to become emotional too, and then you got two emotional people going at it. That leads to arguments and disagreements, et cetera, et cetera. So women, co-sign or not co-sign what I just said. The woman just needs the man to allow her to work through her emotions. She generally will calm herself down when she has a space to vent, and the man does not also become emotional himself. And again, that's the reason why one of the most important things the red pill community teaches men is learn to control your emotions. And any man should teach a man that. Ashley says, a woman who is single mom to a boy, blue collar worker, and veteran. I completely agree with you. Well, thank you. I agree that men are not doing their jobs is the problem. That's always the problem. Any issues in society in general, any society, is always rooted in men not doing their jobs, period. And accountability is a big piece of what we do here at Work on Your Game. Our 4 pillars are mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability. And anytime something is going wrong in any space, any environment, any organization, we look to the person who's supposed to be in charge, and they are somehow, some way messing up. That's how things go wrong. If society is going wrong, that's because men are messing up, period. I don't care what the women do. If men do their jobs, women cannot cause disorder. Women cannot cause disorder in an organization that is being run by men who are competent in doing their jobs. It's impossible. A woman cannot overrule a man who is on his mission in doing his job. It's not possible to happen. Carlos said, I'm glad that I saw your lives. You have such great logical insights on issues. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for moderating here. We have 50,000, 56,000. Can we get to 60, folks? Can we get to 60,000 likes? Katie, Texas conservative, said, good morning. Love the truth you speak. Thank you, Katie. Bree said, I don't want kids. I'm already in my 40s. I am an LTR. What's LTR? A long-term relationship. Okay, fair enough. You don't have to. Carla said, this is definitely your superpower. Well, thank you. And that's another reason why I do these lives, because it helps me brush up on or keep my skills sharp. Bree said, at home, the dynamics are different. Okay, fair enough. Got you. Lauren said, my husband is the breadwinner, but I always try to help and make more money. I contribute financially. Okay, that works. I know there are relationships that it works just like that. Butterfly Howard, good morning. Happy Wednesday to you. Michelle, congrats on the gifter badge. Thank you for the hand hearts. The full video, yes, will be on YouTube. Michelle, can you ask how tall am I? I'm 6 feet 4 inches tall. The metric system, that's 193 centimeters roughly. So you see all the women co-sign what I explained there about women in emotion. So MH, I hope you're still in here and you see these cosigns coming from the females. I've heard this from women more than once. Pimp Steve says, as a woman, yes, 100% yes. Lee said, a man should not tell a woman her emotions are wrong. Yes, that is I co-sign that one. High Class said co-sign. So a lot of people co-signing that one. Okay, so all the women co-sign that. So all the men in the room should understand this. And sometimes as men, let's be clear, sometimes as men, even myself, we forget this and we mess up and misstep on this one. But the job of the man, again, is to do what I explained. And if you do that well enough, then the woman will generally self-regulate. So all this said, folks, tomorrow we're going to do the flip side of the red pill. So today I was kind of defending, I guess, for lack of a better term. Some people call it defending the red pill movement. Tomorrow, I'm going to offend the red pill movement. Cynthia, you co-signed over there on YouTube. I see you. Desir43 over on Instagram. Good morning. Kingwork said, who do you think are positive male role models? It depends for what thing, because you can pick and choose from different men. So if you want to learn how to play basketball, I think you can learn a lot from watching LeBron James, but I don't know what about LeBron in any other aspect of life. So different aspects of life you can learn from different men. And so Ty Crane, I think I've heard the name, but I don't know him. Someone said Obama. I don't know. I don't know how Obama is when the cameras are off. That's the thing. Thing is, when you choose famous people as role models, that you only know what they do when the camera's on. You don't know what they're doing when the camera's not on. So it's kind of tricky when it comes to famous people. So you can go off of what they do when the camera's on. So if you want to be a public speaker, Obama's great. He's great as a public speaker. But I don't know what he does when the camera's off. I have no idea. And we can't guess. So, yes, thank you for helping me hit 60K. Marky Man, good to see you here. And yeah, tomorrow I'm going to do the flip side of the red pill, where I'm going to offend the red pill. Actually, I'm not really going to offend it. What I'm going to do is just bring up all the points that people would bring up to go against the red pill. And I'm going to tell you what I think about them and where they actually there is some credence to their points, because there are a lot of strong points against the red pill movement. And there are strong reasons why those points exist. It's not necessarily that I agree with them, but I'm going to make the argument for them. And this is what a good attorney can do, is that you can argue both sides of a situation. Even though I'm not an attorney, I just play one on TikTok. So Forever Evolving said, we don't know what you do when the cameras are off either. Exactly. Nobody knows what anybody does when the cameras are off. That's the point. That's the reason why we can turn cameras off. So we can do what we want to do when the cameras are off. We do what we do when the cameras are on. If you want to, and I mean, if you think about it, even reality TV is cameras. They all know it's there. So nobody knows. The only way you know someone does when the camera's off, you have to actually know them in real life. But the good thing about the internet is that you can access people who you don't know in real life, and you maybe never will, but you get to enjoy what they do on camera. So judge what I do on camera, because that's the only thing you know about anyway. So all that said, folks, someone asked, have I ever played against? Yes, I have, but that's not the topic here today. So I'm not going to get into that conversation, but I appreciate you saying that. Asking, excuse me. So as a retired Marine, I can teach you how to be a Marine. As a woman, I can't teach you how to be a man. Yes, that's true. Mindy Smith, good morning to you as well. All right, so tomorrow we're going to do the other side of this. And the other thing is any pending thing, anything that possibly could happen in the news might push the red pill conversation back, but I'm expecting the red pill is going to be the topic here tomorrow. While you're here, those of you on TikTok, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a new YouTube channel link in there. That's where all the replays to these go. They go straight to YouTube. It'll be up as soon as this one is done. And the other thing is follow me on Instagram. My Instagram link is in my profile, as is my YouTube link. So my YouTube and my Instagram links are both in my TikTok profile. Just click on those links. Follow me on YouTube and on TikTok. And they say that the TikTok sale is supposed to happen by April 5th. So that's a couple days away. That's by Sunday, right? And yeah, they're saying that this guy, I think this guy from Wyoming is trying to buy TikTok. They say he gave the strongest offer. He offered like $47 billion with a B for TikTok. So we'll see if this guy actually buys TikTok, and then if they change anything in the process. If they change some things, then I can start saying names and countries who I right now cannot say. And I can start talking about things that offend people that right now I can't do without getting suspended off TikTok again. So hopefully this guy goes through with his purchase pretty soon. Red pill, Cynthia, red pill, PILL, like a pill that you take, like an Advil, red pill. That's the name. It's called. It's a whole movement called the red pill. So today I talked about the positive side of it. Tomorrow I'm gonna talk about the negative things that people say about the red pill. That'll be the topic here tomorrow. And again, replays on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. I'm on all the social medias, by the way. So if you like Facebook, I'm on there. That's Work on Your Game University. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on X. X is at Dre All Day. And if you want to learn more about working with me, what I do in my business, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is in my profile as well. And thank you to all my moderators in here. Erica, I saw you in here. Carla, I saw you in here. Nikki, who was in here earlier. Thank you to the moderators for helping us get to 60,000 likes here today. I will see you all. Michelle as well. Thank you as well. Thank you all. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Work on your game. Have a great Wednesday. We out of here.